As Maru says, a great opportunity, as always, to support the ecosystem here in StarCraft 2. And for a guy like Maru, he's sure aiming for those top prizes. Again, joined here by Ben and Wardy to talk about this one coming in. Let's take a look at Maru going up against Solar. And yeah, I mean, Ben, when we look at that breakdown from Maru, he's usually a man of few words. He is coming out of his shell a little bit, but he did sound a little bit dejected to a degree, but I still think he should be very confident in his abilities as one of the greatest of all time.
I mean, if there's one bit from that interview there that I really like, it's the fact that, you know, I disappoint at Katowice, but I'll make sure I get far this time. It's not as if he didn't get to the finals of the World Championship, you know, like it's just like such a Maru thing to be on about. But no, yeah, he's definitely more vocal, and like we definitely see more of him, like the innards, right? Of him being like, yeah, I want to do well. Like, I'm getting better and better. He really talks about how he's improving, and that's so nice to hear from already the best Terran of all time and arguably the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Because, I really do believe him when he says it. It's not just one of these things where it's like, yeah, I'm going to 4-0 this guy, blah, blah, blah. No, I really do believe he is getting better and better. And ever since he revolutionized this TVZ style where you don't die, you get +3 on the mech as well after going bio, like so you held that steel damage. He's just so scary to go up against, and Wardy really nailed it. When it comes to Solar, he will always give anybody a good game and a run for their money, but Maru is his final boss, like he really is.
Yeah, definitely. As Wardy said, constantly running into each other does cause some troubles for Solar. Got to be a bit of shell shock, I suppose, as well, Wardy, for a guy like Maru in the finals of Katowice, who we all anticipated to be, okay, this is where Oliveira's run ends. There's no way he's defeating Maru. And I think as much as, yes, might sound a little bit dejected here and there, might still kind of be regaling in his mind that kind of loss and stuff like that, he comes into any tournament as a big favorite, never mind this one, to be able to move through and go to Gamers 8.
I mean, he's absolutely a favorite. I think, honestly, out of all the players we've seen lately as well, he's been the most consistent still. You know, we've seen Hero have blips, and that was seen yesterday as well. Maru's just not had that in the online cups. And yeah, he's not beaten everybody. Yeah, he's lost a match here and he's lost a match there. And overall, though, he just looks consistent. When when the prizes get higher and it becomes more serious, he's even more consistent again, right? When he really takes it seriously. And I think that's the thing about Maru is right now, to me, he is the absolute best in Korea, 100%, just because of that consistency.
Yeah, he's going to be working hard to be able to take this title at Gamers 8. And, well, firstly, he's got to qualify on through to that. Let's go to this best of 5 now with our commentators. It's Solar versus Maru.
Hello everyone, welcome back again to our next series here at the Gamers Without Borders. My name is Loco, I'm joined here by Pig. Moving forward, we're gonna have best of 5s today. The first one being Maru versus Solar. I mean, that's gonna be a really good match.
Yeah, this is always an exciting one. I feel like so many times we see Maru come out on top, but it really is just one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, it's a hard-fought match. Often Maru pulls out some dirty proxies and things that catch him off guard, but what's most impressive to me is the fact that Solar can go toe-to-toe just defending, playing straight up ZVT. He will absorb punch after punch and will not give in. This man down here, I think he is maybe the best defensive Zerg versus Terran player in the entire world, representing Onside Gaming. It's Solar.
And his opponent, up here in the top right of Ancient Cistern, he is Maru. EPT rank 1. Looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, Maru's used to a number 1 next to his name in a lot of circumstances. I think he's always right up there at the tippity top, isn't he? He's so consistent. I do love we're seeing more emotion from him, even in that interview we were just watching there before the series, you know, hearing him talk about it compared to the past where he would always just be like, I just hope I play well. Just focusing on the match. And, you know, there's a little bit of that, but especially when you ask him about playing Oliveira again, you hear that Maru's, you know, it's something that is a sore spot in his soul, something where I think he's got a renewed vigor in his practice because he really wants to prove that that was just a single one-off moment and that will not be happening again.
Yeah. No, in his mind, that was certainly the opportunity for him to become the world champion of StarCraft, right? I mean, he's practically won every tournament under the sun. And he's expected, right? It's almost easy to forget that he hasn't won Katowice before, right? But yeah, he's never won one of the biggest events in all of StarCraft 2, and he would certainly like to add that to the list of wins that he's already got. Sadly for Maru, he's well, maybe going to be able to do so next time around. We'll have to see. But he certainly seems to have a lot of vigor in his practice once again, right? If you win everything, maybe at some point you're going to slack off a little bit too. So maybe it's almost like a wake-up call.
Yeah, you need a little bit of pain sometimes. A really painful loss like that, I think, will light a bit of a fire underneath them. As, of course, we see the Tasterlope, the Artosalope, another critter on this map. Both of them, some of the most nervous critters I've noticed.
Yeah, they're very skittish.
Oh, man, they run away so fast. Look at that. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, very representative of the real-life commentators, of course. That
Yeah, the two most nervous dudes ever. Completely lacking confidence.
Oh, this is a really nice catch right here from Maru, though. Sniping the drone that was supposed to become the third base. Now we're going to be sending one over at the corner. That would have, well, if he would have caught that one too, that would have been amazing here from Maru, but still a solid start.
Yeah, very good micro so far from Maru, and definitely, I mean, not just blocking the base, but getting the drone as well is fantastic. Going for that factory and a quick second gas behind it. So Maru isn't going for the famous 3 command center opening just yet. And you can see that he's going to be pumping out those Hellions very quickly. Interesting that there is so many minerals saved for Maru right now.
Yeah. He goes for the starport at like 500 minerals. That is definitely a little bit funky. He has not yet gassed up any Hellions. Yeah.
Is it a 2 starport BC build? Is that what we're looking at, Loco? Are we seeing something crazy and cheesy out of Maru?
It certainly could be. I'm a little surprised that he was so slow on the Hellions, though. He could have started us up a while ago. He could have also... Is that the third gas? It has to be a battlecruiser opener for sure. Yeah, you're right. There it is.
Oh, that's awesome. That's going to be really interesting to see how this goes. I mean, the funny thing is, I feel like if you play a bit too crazy aggressive with like Hellbat timings or anything, Solar's so good at shutting down all of the weird aggressive openings. I haven't seen Maru try this build against Solar before, so I'm really curious to see if it's something that he's like just never really done much versus Solar, and can Solar scout it? Can he realize what's going on? Because normally he relies on just Zerglings running up the ramp to get vision, and it's very unlikely that Maru's going to let him in there. He realizes this build is all about surprising your opponent. You cannot let him know it's coming. That's why the Hellions are well positioned. No scouting for you, Solar.
Yeah, at least he saw that there was a couple of depots over there already at the front. That's usually a decent giveaway that is not at the very least a quick triple CC opener. So now you can start thinking, okay, why are those Hellions sitting there defensively? It's a 1-1-1, I guess. Well, it's not a battlecruiser opener, by the way. He decides to go for some Banshee shenanigans instead. You have to react to it, though, mostly the same way, I guess, as Solar. Maybe you can get away without the Spire, but is he not going to start up Cloak as well? I'm assuming that one has to.
Yeah, I think that comes in later only. I think it's more about speed to start and just get across the map. But of course, Cloak will come in there as well. I really always feel that this build is such a kind of fun build to watch. I don't know if it's always the most effective. It really relies on the first Banshee wave surprising the opponent. And unlike battlecruisers that can teleport across the map, those Banshees have to fly across the map. So high chances of them getting spotted en route. Solar is going for a Roach Warren and Spore Crawlers. Seems like he might be expecting mech play.
Yeah, he's a little concerned, that's for sure. Right, he's got that Spore Crawler position, mostly just to counter Liberators or something like that. He really wants to save that Overlord. Good guy Queens right there, making sure that all of those Overlords are safe. But the problem right here for Solar is that he doesn't know what he's playing against. He's seen the depot at the front, so this is a pretty obvious giveaway that it should be some sort of 1-1-1. I guess in this case it's a 1-1-2, we might say. Although that sounds a little bit funny. He doesn't know about it yet, though, and he's going to need something more reliable than just Queens and Spore Crawlers against mass Banshee. How many Banshees are we on already? Because 2 more are about to spawn.
Yeah, I mean
4. Okay.
I think the Queens and Spores can do it, but you got to be in position, and it's highly likely the 4th base gets sniped down, and then they start going around and picking off other things. Having 2 Spore Crawlers in each base will be a good start, and of course getting a Spire to chase the units down can be good. I actually think Infestors is the best, because you know Maru's going to be playing mech afterwards. He'll be going up into that mech, and then probably Ghosts as the final cherry on top of the cake for his composition. Right now it's Mass Roach Ravager for Solar, looking like he expects some sort of ground-based aggression, maybe a drop. The Banshees coming in towards the main. Overseers are morphing. There's a lot of Queens ready, but they're all in the 3rd base. That main base is wide open.
Yeah, here we go. So the Spore Crawler does reburrow itself right there in the middle of the mineral line. That's going to give him quite a bit of detection. There is already an Overseer done as well, so that's going to be joining with the Queens. And so far, honestly, the crisis management here for Solar has been absolutely amazing. He is now sending some of the units that he's got across the map, hoping to force those Banshees back, and it looks like that is also happening right there. So considering the fact that Solar didn't know, he did a really good job. The problem is those units are on a one-way trip. They're certainly not going to go back.
Speed Banshees are very good at scrambling back and cleaning them up. None of them have air attacks. The Lings might get some damage. That's where the hope is here for Solar. But great quick pull from Maru. Fantastic response. And now he's well on his way into Battle Mech. Battle Mech named that because it is always looking to fight. A lot of mech is looking to just kind of build defensive walls and build up. But Battle Mech is out on the map. It's harassing, denying bases, and expanding at a rapid rate. This is a style that's about consuming the map. It's almost where the Terran swaps into Zerg mode and is actually the mobile player. Cyclones and Hellions will be coming in behind. These Banshees do deny some Spore Crawlers on that base. Evo Chamber's very exposed in the back of the base. Could be a nice sniping target. Banshees with some of the highest damage outputs in the entire game. Transfusers getting spammed on the Evo Chamber, but they just cannot save it.
Yeah, normally those Evo Chambers are in a really nice safe position, but now they get sniped pretty easily, at least one of them. Some of the Banshees, though, are taking a lot of damage, and I think that's the second one going down in this little engagement. And in the meantime, love this little counterattack right here from Solar. He's actually causing a lot of chaos on the other side of the map as well. But stopping those Banshees is just a really tall order, right? I mean, I love Battle Mech personally. The Cyclone Hellion-based army, but Cyclone Hellion Banshee is so much fun to watch. You're very right. It feels like it's the Terran player who's trying to Zerg the Zerg, right? It really does feel like suddenly the roles have switched. But I like the fact that Solar decides to go for an attack there, because it's really tempting to just sort of sit on the creep and defend against everything, but yeah, not getting any counter-attack damage done whatsoever is usually not a good situation to be in.
Well, that did keep Maru away from a fourth for a little bit there as he took out the SCV, building the command center, slowed it down. Extra factories are now coming up, though, so it's going to be a massive amount of production using those starports to prepare add-ons for those factories while he's saying, you know what, if you've got 4 or 5 Banshees out, that's good enough for now. I'll add more later probably, but I need to focus on the ground army. Now, Solar's not really prioritizing Evo Chamber upgrades. He did lose one, but I definitely want to see him start up that +1 range again. Otherwise, his units will not have the firepower that he really needs, and it looks like his goal here is just to go lots of Vipers. I think we'll see 4 or 5 Vipers start up the moment this hive is finished, and there we go, 4 Vipers in the production tab. He's going to use those to abduct the units, basically just grabbing them, pulling them into the middle of his shorter ranged army, and that's going to allow him to be cost efficient, but he's not there just yet, and the Cyclones are on the doorstep.
Yeah, okay, he's gonna try and snipe that hatchery, but at least that will be prevented here. Solar reacting just barely in the nick of time, but he gets it done. Needs to be careful, though. This is a scary amount of units, right? These Terran units don't mess around. Infernal Pre-Igniter, that's the blue flame upgrade for the Hellions, is gonna finish up momentarily as well. 4th base here at the 3 o'clock does get spotted too, but yeah, Maru's still dancing, man. This is entirely different than that vanilla mech army that we're also very used to. He's just dancing back and forth, outpacing the Zerg player here, and there's the Banshees once again.
Yeah, the Banshee's going to try and join in as a Spore Crawler, but it's a bit too far to the south. Overseer is needed with that army absolutely quickly because Maru, he's been using a lot of scans to give the high ground vision, but it's worth it. He's getting so much value. Finally, the Vipers come in and shut that down. You see the power of the abduct right there. Solar hanging on, doing it very nicely, but the Banshee is still rotating around the side. Multiple Spore Crawlers on the bases, going to limit his ability to do damage, and those Vipers are already going back to get more energy.
Yeah, lovely play right here, though, by both players. Solar doing a really good job hanging in here. Now, look at the work account, right? It really does kind of feel like the Terran is outpacing the Zerg here. 92 SCVs versus 80 drones. He's desperately trying to add on some more workers, but those Banshees are going all over. Oh, Overseer also brought back to safety. You do love to see that. Not usually the way we want to see the abductions, but still a neat little mechanic. And he's now adding on the Vikings too. One of the problems you run into here as Terran is that you don't have any of those ghosts, right? You don't have ghosts to EMP all of those Vipers, and you kind of have to rely on, well, things like, for example, Vikings to slowly shoot those units out of the sky. But I think Spellcasters are going to be Solar saving grace here.
Yeah, I think Maru really needs to start that Ghost transition. Really, like, he's just losing these fights. It's so cost efficient for Solar. He may have been down on workers, but he's got plenty. He's at 89 workers now. An onslaught of Zerg coming forwards, taking this ground away from Maru. He's spreading creep behind it. He's got 5 bases up, fully mining, 10 gases going. Solar's done such a good job at defending, but oh man, those Hellions got some big splash damage shots off on the Hydras. At the same time, the top base did get taken by Maru, as we saw in the picture-in-picture. Maru's having to burn a lot of scans just to keep these fights going anything even close to even. And the moment those Vipers come back, those Cyclones are going to say goodnight.
Yeah, Cyclones are really expensive units, man. The Terran army kind of moves around like Marines and Marauders do, but it is significantly more expensive. Now, that base at the 12 o'clock position is incredibly easy to harass right now. It's an orbital command. There's nothing really defending it, but Solar has been under so much pressure that he never ever has sent any units in that direction just yet. Now the Queens are starting to tiptoe off creep as well. We need to wait, right? He's okay, there you go, a couple of Zerglings. But he's gotta wait until the Vipers once again have energy to continue properly contesting all of this, well, Terran mech.
He's got to be patient as well. The Vipers need to wait till they have 2 abductees. Only 75 to 100 energy on each Viper, which means he can only abduct once on a lot of those Vipers. And that means he's having to spend a lot of time running forwards fighting rather than being more efficient and gathering up more energy. Nice, a Viking focus fire gets a full energy Viper. Great attention to detail from Maru.
Okay, Maru trying his best to just maneuver around the map now. He's getting pushed back pretty hard. Solar's been fighting on creep for a lot of these engagements, but now he's feeling adventurous since he does have some more energy. That being said, though, this is a really beautiful flank right here by the Terran player who's trying to surround this Zerg army. My god. I don't know if he's got enough, though. Yeah, those Hydras just putting in so much damage.
Overwhelm Solar here, but look at that, a fungal even lands on these Cyclones, stopping them from retreating. The Widow Mine does fire on the Overseer. The Roach is taking out a lot of the valuable Cyclones. Maru's supply is plummeting. He was so slow on the double armory upgrades, and he has not made any move into siege tanks or ghosts at all. And this allows Solar to just absorb the punches that get thrown his way and then explode into dominance on the map. He's now got 2-1 upgrades and more Roaches, Hydras, and Lings coming out on the field. Once those Vipers are topped up on energy, he's just going to go again, rinse and repeat over and over, and there's just no answer to it for Maru. I think he's going to keep trying to split his army up and harass and make something happen and force a mistake. Easier said than done, though.
Lovely game right here by Solar, right? I mean, he has been playing this incredibly well. Even though this is not a very common style to see from the Terran players, he knew exactly what to do, and he's been executing it very smoothly ever since. Rushing up to those Vipers while, well, not losing the game in the process sounds pretty easy, but look at him harpooning everything away. This is not easy at all. It's very easy to accidentally lose against this fast-moving Terran army. Roach is once again up north, trying their very best to maximize the damage, but Maru needs to start getting something done. Riding these units so deep onto the creep where they will surely die is... I don't think that's the move. He's buying time, I guess, but buying time for what? He's making more of the same.
Yeah, the Cyclone Hellion, it's not really a big comeback comp. He did build 2 barracks in the main base, so I expect a Ghost Academy to come down at some point, but Maru, of course, just trying to buy time to remax, I suppose. The problem is the efficiency. I mean, we kept looking at units last time, and every time these Vipers get the spell, it's so good. Terran is meant to be way more efficient than Zerg. Not very good abducts there for Solar. Abducting the Cyclones, not into the middle of his army, but off to the side, so most of them can drive away. Despite that, the numbers are massive, and Solar denies the command center, splits off part of his army to chase down this army. This might be an overextension on the right side. Even though he's going to get a lot of economic damage done, the Cyclones kite down his force, and most of his Hydras do fall.
I think Maru is reconsidering making an orbital command at the 12 o'clock position, man. As soon as Solar found out that this base did not have a little planetary fortress head on top of it, he has been sending small squads of units, and now ultimately the command center ends up going down as well. Solar is looking incredibly solid here. I mean, we were talking a lot about Maru. We were hyping him a lot before this series started off, but Solar is showing us, yo, guys, don't forget about me. I'm one of the very best players in the world, and he is, doing an amazing job right here in game number 1 of this now best of 5 series. This is our first best of 5 of the tournament. He's gonna need to win a couple
always
more.
Have good series, right? Like Solar always puts up a really good fight. It's just that there is a break point which Maru looks for, and I think even with this style, Banshees, Cyclones, Hellions just attacking from every side. I think he's always looking to throw Solar off his game and tilt him, essentially. You know, he's throwing the kitchen sink at him and just saying, I'm going to overwhelm you. There will be proxy barracks most certainly in this series as well. And for Solar, it's can he maintain this level of play? Because he really always looks like he's got what it takes to beat Maru. But look at that fight from Maru. Great EMPs on the Vipers. Hydra flank from the north. Oh man, the Hellions roasted those Hydras on the bottom side. But I think the numbers might just be too much. Look at the supply. I mean, that was an amazing fight from Maru. That was a god tier fight, but at the end of it, Solar's got the money to build another 60 supply army advantage, and that's a big problem for the Terran.
Yeah, Maru has re-secured that base all the way up north. Those Vipers, man. These guys, you can't really tell exactly how much value they've provided in this game because, well, they don't directly kill units themselves, but they have been responsible for basically half of the damage done to the Terran army at this point. Yeah, he's waiting until they have accumulated a bit of energy once again. Now, I definitely agree. That previous fight was amazing for Maru, right? Suddenly flanking that entire Zerg force. Lovely work there, but maybe the Ghost can allow him to get back into the game, but, well, he needs to keep him alive. Oh, good EMP.
Yeah, very nice there. Oh, Abducts catching some of these units, but it's just too much. I mean, the Abducts are so efficient. Solar preserved those Vipers. They kept getting abduct after abduct, and they simply weathered the storm and then punched back. And that's what their series often look like. Maru throwing the kitchen sink at him, Solar defending, taking beating after beating. It always looks like he's about to crumble, and then he hits a certain moment. Often it's when Hive Tech finishes, and suddenly Solar's in the driver's seat, and he looks so powerful at that stage. Vipers showing that they are the counter to the Cyclone Hellion Banshee mech. I do wonder, was there a chance for Maru to transition earlier? Could a planetary on the far top, like you mentioned, have made a difference? I don't know. I feel like these counterattacks, you were praising them earlier, Loco. I actually agree. I think that the double counterattack on the third really slowed Maru down. Otherwise, he might have got out of control.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the way that Solar defended the initial Banshees, right? So he didn't really know what he was playing against. 4 Banshees were made. They show up with the cloaking upgrade, with the speed upgrade. I mean, there were spore crawlers. Lair was done, so he could go for the Overseer, but Solar, calm and collected. He microed against that. He sent in that roach attack that you were just talking about, right? Trying to pull those Banshees back, and he honestly handled that extremely well. So, yeah, brilliant game right there by Solar. I'm very impressed by him. I mean, these are the abductions that we weren't impressed by. That kind of looked like one of my ladder games right there, Pig.
one mistake in a sea of perfection, you know. It's funny because you actually can't abduct if you're right in the middle of the rocks or a cliff or something like that. So you've actually got to be a bit careful. I definitely see a lot of, like, you know, players in the heat of the action. Sometimes they're just sitting there spamming the spell with the Vipers, and they're like over a pillar or something, and they're like, why isn't the spell casting? And you could tell Solar purposely moved them up to the high ground, but hey, his army wasn't quite there just yet. Despite it, very good play. Do you think we're going to see mech from Maru again, or was that a didn't work back to bio?
Yeah, maybe. It's very map dependent, right? So I don't think I don't know exactly what map is coming up next, but I don't think we're going to be seeing it all too often anymore. This kind of felt like Maru. He's playing a best of 5 now rather than best of 3. He's taking a chance. He's going to go for a build that we don't really see all too often. I would imagine that he's going to play something a little bit more standard here in game number 2. Because if he does something a little cheeky again here in the second game of this best of 5 and he ends up losing it, then you have to win 3 games in a row against Solar, which I don't think it's really going to happen.
Well, that would be very, very difficult indeed, because this man is a monster in the bottom right side of the map in the red. That's Solar.
And his opponent all the way in the top left-hand corner of Dragon Scales, also his teammate, he goes by the name of Maru. Going for the low ground supply depot here. One build that the Korean Terrans seem to be very fond of is, well, going for those barracks right here on top of the high ground, right? I wonder if it's going to be multiple barracks or if it's just going to be a single one.
Yeah, him and Beyond are big fans of that 2-Rex Reaper opening. I think there's just something about having 3 Reapers out early to pressure the Zerg with that they enjoy. The feeling of kind of just putting pressure onto the Zerg early. I'm a vocal critic of this build because I feel that both Maru and Beyond, they overuse it. And I think any strategy that is easy to defend like this one, when overused, does become just less effective. Zerg players especially, when they know what to expect and they've memorized all the timings and everything, they get really adept at defending. And this map especially, a very high percentage that they pull the build out. So I'm curious to see what Solar's got in store. The add-ons will be on the outside of the wall, which means they could be sniped.
Yeah, the add-ons always show up on the same side of those structures, so a little bit of RNG, of course, in the spawn location, and you can't control exactly where they are going to go. Sometimes with this build, they have been creating a variety of it where you go for the third barracks as well, and that's not really something Solar is going to be able to find out. But I'm with you. There's a very good chance that Solar is just making the assumption that this is going to be the build, because they've been doing it basically every single game over the last, well, maybe the last month or two. We've been seeing this strategy a lot.
Yeah, yesterday Beyond pulled it out 2 out of 3 games versus Ragnarok, and Ragnarok was super ready with a gas pool opening. With the hatch first, it's definitely not as easy. Solar is going to go out and take the third base on the bottom side. Not going to block it this time around. Solar's got to feel a little bit better about that, but he, of course, doesn't know what's happening until he sees the second Reaper, which the Overlord didn't spot, so he's just droning up. Solar does not realize what's going on just yet.
Okay, well, he's going to see the additional Reapers right now, and that is a very clear tell. Usually it's going to be 3 Reapers, and then they'll expand behind it. Or at the very least, expand those Terran structures with additional add-ons. Solar's gonna try his very best to, well, just hold on, right? It's important that you respect it, because you never really know exactly how much there's going to be, right? You're kind of counting here how many Reapers are going to be coming across. In this particular case, it's only 3, but there's a good chance that in the next game it's going to be twice as many at this point. But already, he's deflected it really nicely.
And the most consistent follow-up on the way here for Maru, the one where you go for a factory and a third command center. So it's going to be very tech heavy. He will go towards a double barracks drop and just kind of skip any sort of normal early game, go straight to the mid game. That barracks there, just checking there's no Overlord on the pillar, watching what he's up to, I guess. Could be a misclick, but I'm going to say it was purposeful.
No, we're casting the game. Everything they do is purposeful. These guys are 17 steps ahead of mere mortals that play this game. No, you're very right.
Actions a second, and they're all intentional, Loco.
100%. There's no repeater rates or rapid fire or anything along those lines either. These guys are just absolute monsters on the keyboard. Okay, so Solar is setting himself up for a nice standard game once again, and that's what he likes to do, right? I mean, Solar not necessarily the most spicy Zerg player out there. Most of the other top-level Zergs, they like to mix in at least a Roach Warren from time to time, and I'm sure Solar does it too. But I feel like at this level of play, he does it the least frequently out of all the high-level Zergs.
Yeah, let's put it this way. If Solar's, if he eats food, anything like he plays Zerg versus Terran, he asks you to take the pepper out of the dish. Like, he's like, no pepper, please. It's too spicy. Like, he's so defensive and standard to the... Well, let's just cut that off, because what the 3 starports? 3? Okay, Maru, you're just trolling now.
3 starports on 2 gas.
On his natural. This doesn't make any sense. Is that a mistake?
What are you going to produce that you can produce out of... I'm not even entirely sure. Vikings? Okay, now he decides to go for it. I'd be very surprised if he mixes in a bunch of Vikings at this point, but...
You need the gas first. Maru, are you drunk, bro? What is this? We're about to learn something amazing.
Or?
He's going full Sky Toss. 3 tech labs? He's going to go triple BC? Oh, my lord. And you know what? I really feel, actually, if it was BCs in the last game, I think that would have worked. Banelings are going to be made in the near future. If Solar counterattacks with Ling Bane, he wins this game. But that is a big if, because he's seen stim making.
No fusion core. Yeah, no, he's
barracks aren't producing. The barracks aren't producing. If Solar looks at that and realizes, then he should know what's going on. 3-port Banshee is ridiculous. Solar didn't notice, I don't think. I don't see any sign of him noticing that the barracks weren't producing.
If he knew right now, he'd probably be flying in the Overlord to confirm, or at the very least, yeah, that's the main tell, right? Maru with his god tier macro rather, he should be able to produce out of those barracks at all times. He went for a cheeky little move out, but I guess we're just playing Mass Banshee in this particular series.
He's gonna swap into mech for sure, right? Like the barracks are definitely a fake, and it's just heavier on the air. So like there should be more factories coming down next, I would imagine, and going into a similar style to the last game, but like more air focused and just with a handful of ground mech units. Solar doesn't have a Roach Horn. He's going Evo Chambers. His lair is so late that he can't make an Overseer to scout.
Could go Spire here. Okay, there's the Fusion Core on the back of it too. If he throws up a Spire right away, I think Solar is going to be all right, but we'll have to see what sort of tech route he decides to go for here. The lair does finish. It's straight Baneling speed. I mean, all of this is a clear indicator that Solar thinks he's playing against a Marine-based army, right? But he's playing against the polar opposite of what he has scouted so far. Now, here's the Overseer scout, though. Is he going to spot the triple starport?
Oh, please go up. Please go up. I mean, he's got to. He's going, surely. He sees Banshees.
There you go.
Yep. He sees the Banshees, 3 starports and a Fusion Core almost finished. Hydra Den was already almost finished. So Hydras are actually a good stopgap. Wait, did he just cancel his Hydra Den?
Yeah,
Okay,
he canceled the Hydra Den for a Spire.
He's got enough queens, I guess. That Spire is going to get sniped, though. That's a really bad Spire placement. He needs to build a lot more spores, get his queens in position, and I'm hoping he doesn't regret canceling that, because Solar right now realizes, I mean, he's got to be a bit offended that Maru's trying something so ballsy versus him. The queens are not there. The Spire's exposed, and oh, no. Okay,
there you go. It kind of looks like a Spore Crawler, but in the end, well, it does get canceled, and that is super annoying. Now, triple BC on the production tab. It's still going to be about a minute until they're done, but this is already so much damage. In the meantime, now Solar immediately with the counterattack dealing a lot of damage at the third. Baneling's coming in as well.
Where are the Hellions? Oh my gosh, it looks like most of the Hellions got surrounded and taken out. The Lingbane counterattack is brutal. Maru is doing a very kind of creative build there. It's very out there. Creative and out there builds, not something you normally see from the top of the line players because they hedge their bets. But Maru is just throwing the kitchen sink at Solar, and Solar's having none of it. Shuts down the third. Could even breach the natural wall if he wants to commit to it even more. The battle cruisers have to take out the Spire. Oh no, he built it in the same spot.
Yeah, he literally put it down underneath the vision of the Banshees a second time. So he's gonna be able to take out that Spire before it finishes. A second Spire, or I guess I should say third Spire, starts up right now for Solar. But these structures take a very long time to build. Again, I mean, in a very exposed location. Maru doesn't see it just yet, but he still has triple orbital. I mean, he probably wants to drop mules at this point, but if he figures out where that next Spire is located too, he's gonna be able to take care of that easy peasy, and Queens alone are gonna have a really hard time defending against battle cruisers.
Yeah, one battle cruiser gets out of there. Already about 3 queens have gone down. Mass queen production is on the way though, and Solar is doing a good job of defending. As much as the Spires getting sniped stops him from shutting this down. Like, this would be game over if the Spires were finishing, right? Yeah. Because Corruptors counter everything Maru has, but he's still got Ling Runbys in there. The queens have stopped any economic damage going down. Solar has 8 casters. He's got 4 bases. He can make 15, 20 Corruptors the moment the Spire's done. And you know what Maru's follow-up is? It's more Hellions and battle cruisers. In this situation, Maru needs to tech switch into something like Widow Mines on the ground to deal with both Lingbane and Corruptors. Maybe get a Thor or 2 out, something to help support. But he's too late on it.
He sends it to the natural once again. He wants to take out that Spire right now, and he is going to try his very best. That being said, though, the Queens are going to be targeted here by the Yamato cannons. And in the end, it looks like there are going to be Corruptors coming up. That is the most expensive set of Corruptors I've seen in quite a few games, but it's most important right here for Solar that they do finish up. And these counterattacks, man, these counterattacks are brutal. Honestly, that's what kept Solar in the previous game too. He's doing a great job with it once again in this one.
Maru is playing very tricky mass Banshee mech builds. I've always felt that you can just go speed Banshee off 1 starport, and it's infinitely better than these 2 or 3 port Banshee builds.
Yeah, you're right.
I really feel like it's just more solid, whereas Maru's kind of going for the, like, I gotta surprise you and do catastrophic damage, and Solar's so good at defending, and they've had patterns like this before in the past where Solar, if you mess up on the aggression, he will punish you. Look at that. The Corruptors come in. They are the hard counter to the battle cruiser. Even with the mass repair, the Corruptors are just going right through them. I mean, that is it. Maru has to tap out, and Solar is rock solid against these crazy mech builds.
Yeah, Solar looked at that once and he's like, you know what? First order of business, send every army unit that I've got towards the other side of the map, right? And he must have gotten a wraparound on at least some of those Hellions that we must have missed, because I think there was more for Maru to defend the third base, but we caught wind of it as soon as the SCVs started falling, and that was yeah, a great situation right there for Solar in the end. Even though all of this, it felt a little dicey, right? You see the Spire going down here? I'm with you, man. I don't think that Spire positioning was ideal, but in the end, Solar had enough.
On the right side, Banelings hit the Hellions just off screen there, I believe. I don't know how many Hellions there were, but I think there was at least 6, so definitely something which is interesting. And you know, these sort of crazy openings, they've had series like this before, Loco. I mean, think about the 4-3 victory in the Oli Mo League finale that Solar had over Maru. That was basically Solar just shutting down Maru's aggression. Like, he was doing crazy builds, and Solar was up 3-0. And what Maru did at that point is he swapped to just greedy bio builds. He said, Solar, you're a defensive macro guy. I'm going to go 3 command center into biomine and just like not build any safety banshees or tanks. And he gave Solar so much trouble in that series. And I always go back to that because I really feel that Solar is an expert at stopping weird aggression in the early game. And I pretty much guarantee if Maru just wants to play his best build, it's 3 command center into bio. You know, use that play that you were in your A game at, because right now, Onside Gaming Zerg player up here in the top right side is looking like he might get a 3-0 over one of the favorites the entire tournament. It's Solar.
And his opponent down here in the bottom left of a Royal Blood. I'm wondering if he's going to go Banshees again. I didn't expect he would do it twice in a row, but he goes by the name of Maru. Yeah, I fully agree with you, Pig. Like, Maru in standard macro games, and with standard I mean like quick triple CC opener and then that mass command center style in the late game, I feel like he's the very best at, well, not losing a game of StarCraft 2 and just defending continuously. So I'm a little surprised he brings out these, well, tricky builds, especially against somebody like Solar, right? It almost feels a little bit disrespectful, right? Where you're, you know, if he were to play against you or me, maybe he can bring out a build like that and get an easy win. But Solar is really good at the game, and he showed us, yeah, he knows exactly what to do, even in these very unorthodox situations.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I actually think a lot of players get, they feel a little disrespected when they scout someone going 3 starports against them. They're like, are you kidding me, mate? Like, because it's so different to what you're used to playing against. You're like, this is not like your most practiced build. This is not your like sharpest sword. This is your surprise sword you're pulling out. You know, you're pulling out some ninja stars and hoping I don't see them coming, basically. It's really something where I think Solar will have a fire lit under him to shut this down and say, no, dude, come on, mate. You need to bring perfect play to take me down. There's a reason why we have so many epic series over the years.
Of course, the one with the nuke comes to mind. I mean, I will never be able to forget that game.
Oh, my lord.
Like, Maru's been thinking, you know what? I've been winning with nukes. What about I win with the exact opposite? I'm going to go for mass battle cruiser. So that goes instead.
Well, that's Maru's plan to torture Solar, right? He's like, I'm going to run you through the gamut of what every Gold League Zerg player complains about all day and like hates playing against. Like, it's going to be mass battle cruiser. Then I'm going to like build a bunker outside your base and put a tank behind it. Like, what? These aren't strategies that work.
Solar's going to take it to the forums, man. You're going to be posting on Reddit soon before too long.
Is it just me, or are battle cruisers and banshees broken?
Well, turns out if you defend against it nicely, you go for the counter at the appropriate moment, you can certainly shut down builds like that. And this time around, we have a much more conventional start right here from Maru. Going for the triple CC that you were talking about already. This is his bread and butter. This is what made him good, right? Over the years, this is what he is incredibly strong at. And this is what Solar has probably been predicting to play against as well most of the time. Now, my question is, if this was like a dark playing, he would certainly go for something a little bit more aggressive right now, right? Is Solar gonna go for a push himself, or is he once again just gonna defend?
I was going to say, this would actually be perfect if you're expecting greedy bio play to go for a mass roach attack. Do like 1-1 roach timing, catch him off if he's building widow mines instead of tanks. But hey, it's 2 factory, probably blue flame. It could be, of course, the mass widow mine drop with the armory and drilling claws build. It could be a mixture of both, right? You know, there is a blue flame opening into Widowmine drops, into Bioplay.
Yeah.
Once again, heavily committed, aggressive play against the defensive master. I feel like Maru's trying to beat Solar at his own game.
Okay, there's the third factory coming up, man. Maybe Maru's been watching some of the Euthermal videos. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna try some of these crazy build orders as well and see if they work. But, I mean, if Solar defends as well as he does in this, well, series so far, like he did previously, he should be okay. The main trick here, right, is that Maru's gonna suddenly catch him off guard, and Solar needs to be prepared.
Yeah, I think this is a build. Actually, Clem did this, didn't he? In my tournament I ran a month ago, Pigsty. It's just 3cc straight into battle mech. So this has no starport, no air units at all. So there's a big problem with just being able to defend a giant push later on. But the Zerg needs a quick lair. They need roach speed up early, or your Cyclones are going to be a nightmare. They're just going to be picking away at them. And there's not a lot of high ground, low ground dynamics on this map. So you don't need to use as many scans, right? There's a lot more of able to just lock on, run back, lock on, run back, lock on, run back, and kite down those units. Solar's now got a lair on the way and a roach horn at a pretty good timing. So there won't be too much of a window for that to happen. But Maru's just going to basically, hold down the Hellion Cyclone key while exploding his economy. And he's going to look to expand at a rapid rate behind it. Once again, swarming the Zerg player. Solar's opening, though, has been completely untouched. Look at that worker difference. Already up 20 workers. Solar is playing a very good series.
Maybe Maru could only make a certain amount of starports in this particular series, and he's exhausted the amount he was allowed. He decides to go for mass Hellion Cyclone here. Now, it wasn't spotted, but what Solar did see was the third command center flying on over, and at that point, still continue his Hellion production. That is a little bit funky. You're not supposed to be seeing Hellions anymore at that point in the game, especially if they're not really used to deny your creep. Like, what exactly is going on here in this game? So, we have roaches this time around, and I think roaches are an amazing choice. But you do have to be very careful. The creep spread, though, is so nice, right? I mean, I would like to see it one step further. Well, Maru disagrees. He wants to see it one step further back.
Yeah, I mean, oh, that's a lot of Hellions. 3 Cyclones as well. The transfuses are only going to keep you alive for so long. The Queen's trying to pull back. And remember, this is the window pre-roach speed, which I was talking about, where the Cyclones can run rampant. Oh, my lord, this is a crazy push for Maru. The mag field's so early. Solar's got a lot of roaches in production. They're not all here just yet, though. The Hellions doing a great job of tanking. The Cyclones are chewing through these roaches. Wow, what a timing. Ling run by is going to be massive, though. The Lings are getting a lot of damage.
Yeah, those counterattacks from Solar have been absolutely lethal. I mean, I like this trade right here for Maru at the front, but reinforcements will probably clean this up eventually, especially when Glial finishes up. But Solar killing a bunch of SCVs, disrupting some of that mining, it's honestly incredibly well executed. That is also obviously splitting the attention from Maru a little bit, who would like to focus on just that aggression at the front. Now Glial reconstitution is going to finish up, and fighting on creep is basically impossible now.
Roach speed's such an important upgrade, and I like the way that he's already split roaches ready to do a backstab. Dealing with Cyclone Hellions all about backstabbing or sandwiching the army from behind. Comes in from the right side, catches Maru off guard, and goodbye to 2 of those Cyclones. Almost gets a third one, chasing the army off to the left side. Indeed, 3 Cyclones do go down. Really nice play. Yep, he has to run past the roaches because the army's going from the left side.
Yeah, reinforcing units from Solar running down towards this same area of the map as well. Obviously, there's no siege tanks or anything along those lines to fall back to either, so Maru can't keep running forever. He needs to be very careful. He doesn't just die to a mass Roach Ravager push, and that's exactly what Solar decides to go for here. He's looking at this, he's like, yo, you can back up to your natural, but I can, from there on out, I can just go to your third.
Remember the weakness of this build. There's no starport, there's no Banshee, and you don't even have siege tanks. You've got nothing to anchor you. When the Zerg does get an army advantage, there's no way to turn that around. This whole style relies on you having more than your opponent from start to finish, and Maru trying to get a little experimental with a mech style. I'm sure he won all of his practice games in the last week, felt really confident with this, but he brings it into the tournament, and Solar's like, no way, man. You know I'm the slayer of Gumiho. He tries to play mech against me every time we play. I always slap it down. You should know better than to try this versus me.
Yeah, I don't know if Solar and Maru have been practicing, but there is a good chance that Solar has been practicing with Gumiho, right? That he's been playing against this sort of stuff for months. He knows exactly what to do. I mean, I'm really impressed by the counterattacks. I know it's not necessarily the highest APM thing to execute, but Solar has been doing an excellent job just continuously pinning back a player that is trying to collect that full map control here. Now, he certainly hasn't won this game yet, though. He's just secured the 4th hatchery, so that's nice. But his economy is a little bit shaky. We're only at 64 SCVs. 64 drones, 72 SCVs at this point. Income advantage slightly in favor right here of the Zerg. But I don't absolutely love it. He needs to be careful he doesn't throw away too many units right here into all of these Terran armies.
Oh no, the roaches hugging those cyclones and so many going down. The SCVs do barely dodge those biles and get back. Very well done for Maru to hang on. Maru has made miraculous comebacks in the past. He's very capable of it. +1 range only now starting. The infestors aren't here just yet. And this Roach Ravager, he's got to be careful about overcommitting. A lot of those roaches got torn down by the mag field. On the other hand, Maru's losing depots. He is supply blocked right now. Now, 4th base on the right side taking damage as well. Siege tanks starting to get in the mix. A couple of Banshees would have been a complete game changer, but that was the build Maru went for. He cut that corner. He said, faster Cyclones and Hellions. Let's see what we can do. And Solar showed that, yeah, a lot of Zerg units get taken down, but once Roach speed kicks in, you've got Roaches that are way cheaper than Cyclones. You can just overwhelm.
Okay, here we go again. Solar with attack wave number 74. At least that's what it feels like. Constantly, though, as soon as he pushes in, those SCVs are running. And I do really like that move from Maru. Yes, he loses a lot of mining time, but it also allows him an opportunity to, well, not lose all of those workers in the process, because he's still at 74 of them. That's actually pretty good. Income-wise, Maru should be feeling a lot better, but the question is, can he hold against this big attack?
Oh, Infestors coming in as well. Watch out for the Fungals. One of them lands on 3 Cyclones on the left side. The tank's starting to do some damage, but it is such a wide arc of Zerg units, limiting the splash damage that the area of effect from those tanks can actually deal. The Roach Ravager overwhelming. Wow. And Solar looking fantastic. They call him the Mech Slayer for a reason. GG, well played. He gets a 3-0 over Maru.
That is honestly insane. I don't think anybody would have expected a 3-0 win. I think all of us were sort of leaning towards Maru to take this series, but it's Solar who wins 3-0.
Well, that was an awesome series. Let's go back over to Kalaris and the analysts.
Yeah. Welcome back, Gamers Without Borders. Congratulations, Solar. He's going to Gamers 8. Joining me, we've got Ben and Wardy. Wardy. That was interesting.
Don't ask me. Don't ask me, man. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. Like, it didn't work the first time. So we tried it with more starports and it also didn't work. And then we tried it without starports and it didn't work. I mean, I don't know. I would have liked to see a bio game, is all I'll say. There's no explanation for that, right? Like,
let's take a look.
That was just wild.
Yeah, let's take a look at the highlights presented by Aramco. I do like that moment where, as analysts, you react with, don't ask me. That's brilliant. Ben, this was a series, one of the series of all time.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I understand opening with it in game 1, like the 2 Starport Banshee. I think it's totally fine to do that. Ancient Cistern, it's kind of a cool map for it. You saw the triangular base at the start, meant darting between the bases with the Banshees can be really good. But the fact that the second game, the triple Starport, like, follow-up with 2 gases, that has left me completely like, what the hell? Like, truly, what the hell? That build didn't make any sense whatsoever. And he almost started to make it work, which is kind of nuts, just due to the fact that Solar remade the Spire in the same position like twice in a row. But yeah, just super damn weird series from Maru. I'm sad that I didn't get to see a more regular opening out of him. But you always have to remember, like, these guys are teammates. I have no idea what happened between them in practice games, whether this stuff was working against Solar or whether that Solar was just so good in the Orthodox games between them. But yeah, bizarre series, but well played Solar, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take a look at the highlights from game number 3 as well. Wardy, in theory, on paper, I think what Maru did is super cool. I really enjoyed the idea of this working. It's just that it seemed like Solar had just really good reads and understanding of what to do at almost every single turn and kind of bopped him a bit.
You know, it's not like what Maru did is bad necessarily either, right? Like, yeah, maybe the triple starport build was a little bit crazy, but these other builds are ones that have worked recently and they've been good. I think what's crazy is that Sola showed not just like oh, I got lucky and I hard countered you or something. Like Sola repeatedly showed like I'm good against mech. I'm really good against mech, in fact, because that first game was pretty darn good for Maru, and then Sola still turned it around. So at what point does Maru G not say, oh, okay, maybe I should actually try like a bio game here? Like, you know, maybe I just try out a bit of bio and we go from there. That's what really baffles me. I can understand him wanting to play mech. I can understand trying it twice. Okay, maybe not the game 2 build order, but yeah, I just feel like at some point you just gotta realize, hey, this isn't working out. I've got one map left. Maybe let's not do it, you know, third time over.
I mean, that's definitely the thing that really baffles you, right? You've got potentially the best bio player of all time that didn't once touch it, and that's the bit that me as a Maru fan and a Terran fan, I'm just like, damn, I'd have loved to have seen it.
As you say, I think your theory of we don't know what happened in practice, maybe A, B, and C happened there to result in this, right? So who knows? But regardless of the fact, we do know our first player moving on into Gamers 8 is Sola. Congratulations to him. And it's a great run from him, all things considered here, Wardy. And now Maru versus Hero in the lower bracket, Wardy.
Hey, that's good for us. It means we get to see Maru or Hero next week.
True.
I mean, that'll be a sick matchup tomorrow. Obviously, that's going to be a lot of fun. Best of 5, of course, as well. Second match of the day. Yeah, I think that's just something we got to look forward to. I just casted Maru Hero Best of 7 the other day. It was awesome. So expecting nothing but great games there.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, yes, the surprises don't stop coming here at Gamers Without Borders. And now with Sola moving through, he's going to be absolutely elated after the run he's been able to go through here. And Ben, I guess, you know, we're very happy for him as well. It's always good to see Sola get success. It's always great to chat with Sola as well and kind of be able to kind of talk about things and how he does in these tournaments, etc.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the sad thing for Sola is anybody talking about this series will be like, but Maru was kind of trolling almost, you know, like it was, that's sad because I think Maru still played it really well and you could still tell he was really trying. Like that first game when he was getting to the ghosts and stuff, he was still battling and some of those fights actually looked really good for him. But yeah, I think Sola's done really well. Like, you can't forget he took out Dark in his first match and then Maru, so he's not had an easy run whatsoever. And just well played to him because he's been a player that's been on the back end of a few unlucky moments, you know.
Yeah. Hey, a win's a win. We take those. Solas as well. He's moving through into Gamers 8. We're going to on a short break. When we return, it's another best of 5 on the opposite side of this break, so we'll see you soon.